to 6 Minutes for Friday, June 10th. I'm Jason Fulmore, SE Wrestle. We're covering Cadet Duels Greco today as we chase the results for the last couple of days. I've been trying to post on the website some of what's been happening, but producing these over and over again is really just chasing the results. As we'll chase the results for Schoolboys Greco, which will finish today. It'll probably be posted tomorrow. And then Cadet Freestyle, which is kicking off today. And boy, there's been some great action so far. So anyway, let's jump back to Cadet Duels Greco. And let's take a look at the top 8. And congratulations to, obviously, Team California for taking first. Boy, I think it ended up 37-37 in their final with Pennsylvania Blue. But for the Southeast, outstanding performance by Team Tennessee. They finished 8th, which means that they are All-Americans. Congratulations to each of them for battling through, especially after a tough second day and being in that gold-silver pool where probably took a few lumps, took a few losses and that sort of thing. But really got an opportunity to kind of measure themselves against the best competition that you can find. Two things I think that are really important to touch on. First, I'm going to touch on some individuals. I will not get to every individual, just no way to do it. And I put the records out to the side of the individuals' names, but not all records are measured the same way. They don't. I mean, an 8-0 for one person is not the same as an 8-0 for another person because they went to different pools. They faced different competition and all of that. Now, that's not to say that one of the individuals who's 8-0 doesn't deserve recognition. I just want to make sure that nobody draws the conclusion that that person had necessarily as good of a day as someone who, say, went 8-0 and actually finished in the gold-silver pool and was unbeaten. That is unbelievably difficult to do. Anyway, let's jump into it. Jump back into this. Tennessee, top 8, fantastic. Florida and Georgia Blue just missed out on gold-silver pool. And we'll talk a little bit about kind of their matches coming up. Florida ended up 3rd in bronze copper. Georgia Blue struggled a little bit on day 2. It seemed like they went down with some forfeits and ended up 8th in bronze copper from a team that really was competitive up front. And you're going to see they lost some really close duels to teams who finished 5th, 6th, 7th overall. So Alabama was 5th in red-blue. Georgia red and North Carolina rounded us out down in the yellow-green pool. Outstanding individual performances, but not surprising, giving up that many forfeits, that they were going to take some losses in some of those duels. So let's jump over to Team Alabama first, who finished 5th in the red-blue pool. But they began the tournament on day 1 in Pool C, beating Texas Blue, losing to Idaho 49-27, losing to Pennsylvania Red, which was a very, very important duel. Came down to 1 or 2 matches that could have gone Team Alabama's way, didn't end up going Team Alabama's way, which puts them down into the 5th, 6th place within Pool C, which put them into the red-blue pool on day 2, where they went 2-2. And honestly, took care of Kansas Red and North Dakota Blue again with little problems. And we're right in the hunt for Indiana Gold and Kansas Blue. This is a team that could have finished 6-2, not 4-4 as a team. But, it really comes down to close individual matchups, and sometimes they don't go your way. All right, let's jump over to Team Florida. Team Florida probably in my opinion, got a pretty tough draw. Missouri was one of the top 4 teams in the entire tournament, and Florida had a bye to the semis in Pool D, where they They lost to Missouri 38-36, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, they won more matches than Missouri. They won 9, Missouri won 8. Florida forfeited at 113, which was very important in the end, in the overall outcome. And the other thing is that Missouri, in their 9 losses, in 7 of those 9 losses, they scored. An individual in an individual match, they scored. So they lost, say, 14-4 or 13-2 or 10-1 or whatever the case may have been. Okay, but by scoring, they gave their team a point, and that added up to 7 points for Team Missouri, which ended up being huge. Florida bounced back with a win against Kansas Red, and then lost another one to Minnesota Blue, 39-36. Day 2, they jumped down. Again, you're going to see it's going to be the same thing over and over again. It's going to really come down to very small matches. It's just going to come down to a single match or a single forfeit that's going to be the difference between Team Florida being a top 8 team and Team Florida being third in the Bronze Copper pool. They beat Idaho 39-35. They lost to Michigan Blue 38-38 on tiebreaker, 9-8. They lost to Team Michigan by 1 point, 39-38, before beating Pennsylvania Red 49-17. So again, and I think that, like Georgia Blue, they got nicked up a little along the way. Liam Davis, I think he only had 3 or 4 matches. I'm not sure what happened, but that's somebody that you don't typically take a forfeit from at that weight, and he usually gets you a win. So not that this is all on Liam, certainly not, but I am saying that taking forfeits and not being able to put somebody out at particular weights when somebody gets a little banged up. Same thing happened to Georgia Blue. Can be the difference between finishing top 8 and not finishing top 8. And talking about Georgia Blue, here we go. They got a tough draw right off the bat. They took Virginia, no problem. But then they got the overall number 1 seed, Pennsylvania Blue, in the semifinals in Pool A. Got thumped a little bit, came back, beat Indiana Gold, came back, beat Wisconsin 40-38 before losing to Colorado 42-33. On day 2, they ended up 8th in the Bronze Copper pool. And you're going to see down below, they lose to Pennsylvania Red, they lose to Missouri, they lose to Michigan Blue. They had some individuals who got a little banged up, ended up having some forfeits, and it's tough to recover. You twist an ankle, this happens, that happens, and it becomes really difficult to fight your way back through as a team. Georgia Red, just like North Carolina, had quite a few forfeits, so falling to the yellow-green pool was not a surprise. As you can see here, they lost to Iowa, they lost to Pennsylvania Red, they beat Texas Blue. The thing that was really nice about Georgia Red is they finished day 2 3-2 with wins over Louisiana, North Carolina, and Texas Blue. North Carolina, as you can see here, they lost and went 0-3 on day 1, losing to Louisiana 33-27 to finish 8th in Pool B. But they were able to avenge that on the backside, beating Louisiana 33-28 for their lone win as a duel. But again, North Carolina and Georgia Red, you knew they were going to win many duels. They have way too many forfeits in their lineup. It really came down to individuals getting some really good mat time and getting an idea of seeing where they stood against some of the best competition. Tennessee, final team that we'll talk about before we jump to the individuals. They took 8th, and they lost to Pennsylvania Red, or they beat Pennsylvania Red, then lost to Iowa, and they lost to Iowa in a match in the semifinals in Pool C that was really close. In fact, they were leading going into what I would have assumed was the strength of their lineup. I mean, we're talking the 100, 106, 113, 120, 126, 132 pound weight classes. And that is where Iowa made their push to push ahead of Tennessee and get into the finals. That put Tennessee into a tough position. They had to beat North Dakota Blue and Pennsylvania Red on the backside before getting the opportunity to wrestle Idaho for true second. Idaho had taken the bottom route, the bottom side of the bracket, to the finals, lost Iowa in the finals, and because Tennessee and Idaho had not faced each other in the pool, Tennessee was given the opportunity to wrestle Idaho for true second and to get into the gold-silver pool, which they did, and they won 44-34. As you can see, day 2 did not quite go their way. They finished 0-4, but they were so in every one of these matchups, losing to Pennsylvania Blue by 4 points, losing to Illinois by 15 points, but it was a very close duel, and losing to Colorado 41-32. Outstanding performance by Tennessee. Tough to take those losses on day 2, but again, that's the nature of the beast. So Tennessee ends up as a team 4-5, but 8th overall in the competition. All right, so let's now jump to some of the individuals, and we'll go to the slide with Alabama, Florida, and North Carolina individuals first. And again, a reminder: not all records are created equal, and I'm probably only going to talk about a couple individuals on each of these slides because I'm trying to keep it to a certain amount of time. Brody Christmas was 8-0. He had many forfeits at 120 and 126. Will Anderson was 4-1, wrestling both 126 and 132. Cole Carter finished 8-1, wrestling both 195 and 220, and I think his one loss was a 1-point loss. That really bodes well. I really think that all 5 of those individuals from Alabama, but especially Willie Cox, who was unbeaten at 285, and Brody Christmas, if they're going to Fargo, they have a real shot of making the podium, which is really the ultimate goal as we're gearing up for the month of July. Down in the next group, Florida, Lincoln Sledzinowski was unstoppable. Simply, I don't know that he gave up a single point in his 7 wins. He dominated everyone. Florida didn't get to that gold-silver pool, but at 100 pounds, he is the top dog, and he's got to be. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's going to Worlds, so maybe he won't be in Fargo. I'm not sure how all that will play out. They wrestle very close to the same amount of time, at the same time. But if he is in Fargo, he would definitely be amongst one of the favorites. Honestly, Heap, Solis, Balmaceda, Torres, Mako, each of them wrestled well, 6-1, and it really wasn't, again, about the records. It was about the fact that each of them won some really close matches. And their losses, I believe all their losses, or most of their losses, most of them lost in very close matches. So definitely 5 others from the state of Florida to keep an eye on as we head to Fargo and Cadets. Cameron Curva and Raymond Laney both went 5-3 for Team North Carolina. I think Traquan Gary, North Carolina. Also, he might have ended up unbeaten 7-1 on the weekend or something along those lines, but he didn't have a whole lot of matches up at 285. Would like to have seen more matches up there to really kind of gauge where he stands against the competition. All right, individuals 2. These is Team Georgia and Team Tennessee. And the thing I want you to keep in mind with Team Tennessee down below, and this is why Max Norman's 8-0 record at 152 is so impressive. He went to the gold-silver pool with Team Tennessee, and he beat all the top kids at 152 pounds. So, Axel Ritchie, Kason Rourke, and then our 3 at the bottom. I think William Phillips, 6-3 at 100 pounds. I think he lost 2-2 on criteria, and then 2 1-point matches. So Team Tennessee, Greco really wrestled well. But Max Norman's 8-0 was super impressive. Georgia Blue up top. Christopher Swan looked really good at 88 pounds. Nate Askew was unbeaten at 132 pounds, but he was 4-0, and he was one of those that got kind of dinged up on day one, and that was tough for Team Georgia Blue. Emil Necula was 8-1. I think his one loss was a 7-6 match. Jacob Levy wrestled great, lights out at 285. And then you had Nicholas Owens, Kel Kuski, Jack Garrett, and Sebastian Melendez. Each really had good performances for Georgia Red. Again, Georgia Red dropped to the green-yellow pool. But I did pick them out because they didn't have a whole lot of forfeits and that sort of thing, and wrestled really, really tough. Now, they may not have wrestled the best 132 or the best 106-pounder in the bracket, so we don't have kind of that gauge, but boy, they took care of business when it had to be taken care of for their team. That's it for today. What else you need to know today? Schoolboys are in their day 2. I don't believe any of the schoolboy teams made the top 8, but boy, we got some battles going on there. And I'll tell you what, if you get an opportunity to turn on and watch Florida and Georgia Blue, I think that they're both battling for a spot for top 8 in Pool B for cadets and freestyle. Not sure how Tennessee's doing. Again, you'd have to pop back in and take a look at track wrestling to see how the teams are doing in freestyle. Hope you guys have a great day, and check back for schoolboy duels hopefully tomorrow. See ya. Bye.